Okay, so we are going to record content for Cornell Notes. All right, so for Cornell Notes, it's module 5. There are several things. So if you're with me in person today, I don't know if I shared my screen. Let me quick share. So that the people watching virtually can see as well. On our Moodle page in module 5, I have several things within this assignment. So there's the Cornell Notes checklist, there's the Cornell Notes grading rubric, and then there's a Cornell Notes template, okay? So last module, we talked about annotating, okay? Annotating is when you are writing in the text. You're making notes right on the text as if you're having a conversation with the author, okay? Note-taking is a little bit different. Note-taking is when you have the text in front of you, but you are taking notes or writing information about it on a separate sheet. Now, science has not shown that there's one exact right way to do note-taking, but what science has shown is there are certain characteristics of note-taking that your brain likes or responds well to. So that's why for this particular exercise, I am requiring that you do Cornell style notes, and that's why I'm providing you the template for Cornell style. Now, what Cornell style means in a nutshell is if you look at it, and I'm gonna hold it up to my camera, so Mallory, hopefully you can see this, I don't know if you can or not, or anybody else, but this is, if you look at the template, now, there are all different types of template, but maybe this is a simpler version to look at. It kind of looks like an upside down T, okay? So I am gonna do this on the board. I want to just kind of explain what the Cornell style looks like and what goes in each section. So if this is my paper, we'll pretend this is my paper, okay? And it looks something like this. So you see that kind of upside down T a little bit, all right? Over on the left, this is where main ideas, big ideas are gonna go, okay? So I'm just gonna put maybe topic, main idea, okay, that's where these things are gonna go. Over here, and you usually have quite a few lines, right? These are where, what I call the details. These are the things you feel are important about that passage that you're gonna need to either know, remember, or study, okay? So for lack of a better word, I'm just gonna write details here, okay? And they're gonna go down those lines. At the bottom section is where you will write a summary. It's a summary of whatever details you have here on that page. So the summary will take the form of 2 to 3 sentences about the information that you posted here. Now, I want to give you a word of caution. You're not repeating the details down here. You've already got them here. But this would be in note form, abbreviated form. So down here, what you're doing is writing 2 or 3 sentences that shows you understand that information and kind of putting it in your own words. Make sense? So we have 3 different areas. The left, topic, main idea. On the right, details relating to that topic or main idea. And then the bottom, which is a summary, 2 to 3 sentences summarizing what the information or details you had in this detail section. Okay? Couple of words of caution. Or I guess they're not caution, just caveats, just pieces of information. So over here on the left, topic and main ideas, these are like words, phrases. You don't need to write full sentences there. If you are unclear where maybe it is, then I would suggest initially maybe put headings. So divide your information by headings and put the heading right there. And then on the right-hand side, put whatever details you need in that information that you read about that heading and put them here. The summary, you only want 2 or 3 sentences, you can go up to 4, but you only want that summary for the information that is on that page. So you're not summarizing anything other than the details you put here. So if you look at your pages, right? This section here, that's the topic of the main ideas, the big ideas, okay? Questions that you have, like, I don't know, what is PSR, okay? Right? Over here is where you're gonna write details relating to that. Down here is the 2 or 3 sentences, putting this stuff in your own words. I would suggest to do your headings over here. Every time you see a section heading, do it here. And then with that text that's related to that, put the details over here. Now, here's the thing, your brain likes white space. It likes things organized and easy to find. So when you're doing this, your goal is not to write on every line and fill it up from left to right. It's leave blanks. I use bullet points when I do it. I do a bullet point, maybe a blank line, bullet point for my next item, that kind of a thing. So at a glance, it's easy for me to find stuff in there when I'm looking to reread. Let me kind of show you here. I really hate this green marker. And I keep forgetting to go get a purple one or a better one. So I don't have anything darker. So I apologize for the eyesight thing. But for example, if I'm doing something like this, okay, here's my lines. My notes might look something like this. I put a bullet point and then I'm gonna write whatever I think I need to write. I might skip a line. Once again, write whatever I need to write, etc., all the way down. As you're going through it, if I have what I need here for this, and then I have a new heading, you have the choice. Do I have enough room to do another heading there, or should I just leave the rest of that blank and summarize what I have on the page? Depending on how much content there is, will depend how much you're gonna write over here in your details. Does that make sense? So sometimes when you're reading a chapter, there's heavy content and a lot of information. Off the top of my head, if you're taking like a biology course, that's a really good example. You have a biology course, you have a section on bones, and there may be just tons of information in there. So you will have lots of information here. You may even need to go to a second page and fill in more on that same topic if need be. Okay? For most of my book, the one that we have, you can probably do a heading here, get whatever details you need on one, and then summarize on the bottom. Now keep in mind, every topic, you know, it wouldn't be the title of the book, it would be each time there's a new heading. Okay? And sometimes, by the way, there's subheadings in there. So far, so good? Okay. Now, let's go ahead. I want to just kind of, I did not bring my print book because you guys are working electronic. But I want to talk to you. Let's first of all talk to you about the guideline and the rubric, okay? So the reason I am teaching you how to do it, and I want it very stringent, I want you to do Cornell style. I want you to do these things. One, because science has shown these things are good for the brain, but two, I need consistency. So when I'm grading everybody the same way, okay? So here are the things I'm looking for in your Cornell notes. So when you are doing these out of whatever book you choose, okay? Number one, does the format include the title, page number, name, and date? Okay, what I'm talking about there is at the top, if you have one of these, you put that information up here. If you don't have one of those and you're working from one of these, right? It's the same thing, at the top, I wanna see the title, okay, chapter title. I wanna see the page number, I wanna see your name, and then I wanna see the date. Make sense? So all that stuff is gonna go up here. That's one, you can check. The second one contains proper keywords or potential test questions in appropriate section. And this is the section on the left, you should have big idea, topics, questions. You can also turn each heading into a question or list it in the left column. So on this side here, I am looking for topics or big ideas, and if you don't know what they are, then use the headings. And if you need to, you can turn the heading into a question if that helps. Question or stretch?
Stretch.
Okay. So that's the second one I'm looking for. The third one, it contains examples, details, and rephrasing in the appropriate section. So that means you're writing down any information that helps you understand the concept or the topic or what you think might be important for a test. Use bullets for items and be sure to leave white space. Do not use full sentences. Use note form. So what does that mean? It means when you are writing here, I want to see bullet points. It's okay to leave white space. You can go every other one if that's what you want. I do not want to see full sentences. It's notes. Just make notes to yourself so that means you can abbreviate. You can write note form. You don't have to worry about spelling. The other thing I want you to avoid, you should not simply copy from the textbook here. That's why I want you to do it in note form. If all you're doing is rewriting the sentences that are in the book, that's not really taking notes. You're just copying. Does that make sense? Okay. And then down at the bottom, the summary section has 2 to 4 sentences, which is down here. And those 2 to 4 sentences correspond to the information above. And those are in full and complete sentences and demonstrate you have an understanding of that information. So this is the other reason it's really important. You don't copy sentences here. You do notes here. And then you take those notes, put it in your own words down here with 2 to 4 sentences. So far, so good? Okay. And then the final one, check to make sure the number of pages are appropriate to the number of content pages. So the average is 2 to 1. So what does that mean? It means however many pages are in the textbook, on average, you should have 2 of these for every one of those. 2 pages of notes for every 1 page of content that you're reading. Now, that's not a hard and fast rule. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's a 1-to-1 ratio. Sometimes, like I said, the biology, even the history books, you may have 4 or 5 of these for 1 section. Absolutely. It is completely depending on how much content is being told to you in that text passage. So it's a little subjective. When in doubt, more is better than less. So when in doubt, go more. So what am I gonna look at? What am I gonna grade? When you are doing your Cornell notes, I'm gonna look, do you have your information up here? Do you have the topics over here? Now, it's okay if you have more than 1 topic. And let's say maybe it was very short content. You have a topic here. Just make sure you line up your bullet points in that same area. Leave a white space, new topic, line up your information over here. Okay? So it is okay to have more than 1 heading on a page. Just make sure you leave enough space in between that it's designated. Line up, just like we do with the annotating, line up so your information is in alignment, or at least near where that heading is. Okay? And then here's the trick. Whatever you have here, you need to do 2 to 4 sentences down here in your own words, demonstrating you have an understanding and talking about that information. Kind of regurgitating in your own words. So far, so good? So if I was going to do a mock-up of this. I'm just gonna quick show you. Oh, I don't know, we'll say I'm gonna do it on chapter 1 of my book. I don't even remember the page, but we're gonna say page 17. And we're gonna say I'm doing this today. What is today? 17. You. And. Action. Sorry, I'm gonna go through this so you can get a picture of what I'm talking about. And then. Words. Writing. Okay. So I use markers so you can kind of see the format. It would look similar to this, your page of notes, okay? Now, again, you may have more information than less information, but all the housekeeping things, name of the chapter, page number, date, all that kind of stuff is up here. Over here, the heading of the first passage, right? In the center, my bullet points where I would write whatever the information is in note form of that I think is important that I need to know, maybe for a test. And then at the bottom, I would write in my own words, make 2 to 4 sentences about that same information. Okay? Don't worry about spelling here, don't worry about capitalization, you can abbreviate as much as you want. The only caveat I'm gonna give you with abbreviating, make sure you know what you're abbreviating. So when you go back, you know what you wrote. I have gotten very aggressive in my note taking quite often. And then, a week later, when I go back to read it, I can't remember what that acronym meant or it stood for. Okay, so I get the question, why do I need to take notes? A lot of students don't like taking notes. They don't see the purpose of it, okay? So I want to share with you some research, and it's called the forgetting curve. And when you get information for the first time, right? It starts here. Actually, I don't know if this is better, if it's better on the board, but we'll start here. You get information and it's right there. You remember it all, right? And we'll say today, hey, I gave you pearls of wisdom, et cetera, it's all right here. But the farther away you get from the time you got that information, the less your brain remembers about it. Okay, called the forgetting curve. It's a natural thing. However, to combat that, keep it fresh in your mind, to refresh, is if you review the information, so you have it here on a Monday, you leave class, go do your thing, by Tuesday it's dropping down, but if you refresh your memory with notes, it jumps back up to like the 98th percentile again. Same thing, drops down Wednesday, but if you review your notes, it jumps back up to the 97th percentile. So my point is, you get this up, down type thing, and you will remember information longer. So it looks like this. I'm going to draw a bigger one over here. I have got to get a better marker. I apologize for the green. But essentially, here's a forgetting curve. Today's Monday. And you're given information and you're there, we're at the 100% mark, right? Okay, so you got that information, that's where it starts. If you don't do anything with that information, working off memory alone, a lot of it gets forgotten. Okay? If you do the note taking and you review your notes, same thing, you start at the 100%, but as it goes down that next day, if you review your notes, it jumps back up again. Same thing, it's natural for it to go down, but if you review your notes, it comes back up again. So you keep it at the forefront of your memory until it's processed and then goes into long-term memory. So it's called the forgetting curve, okay? This is, again, why in college you should take notes on things, you should review notes, particularly for a test. If you wait, let's say you go to class and you take notes, but you don't ever go over those notes until the day of the test. Remember, these are dropping each one, so what you'll have is something like this, okay, that's the day you get it. It's, if you're not reviewing it, and then you wait and review it the day before, it will go up a little bit, but not as much as if you just review them each day, consistently. I'm telling you to take notes old school. I call it old school. Print, paper, write. Science shows that the brain processes differently if you write things down. We're living in the modern age. I know a lot of people don't write things down. I'm guilty of this myself. On my phone, I take notes on my phone quite often because I have a little notepad on there and I can type, right? It's better than not taking notes, is all I can say. I can say this is the best thing for your brain to process, but if you're absolutely not going to do that, maybe heaven wants to, look, well, I'm gonna take my notes all on my computer, I'm gonna type them all up, okay? Okay, that's a choice you make. Not a problem, you're still gonna get full credit. So if you wanna download this from the Moodle page, and you wanna type in all the information in the right spots, no problem. I recommend that you hand do it, but you don't have to. You can download, type it, especially my online people, they're very much more on the tech oriented. And they don't want to do any, what I call physical things. You don't want to physically turn it in, you don't want to physically write, you don't want to physically, for a lot of reasons, you know, mostly convenience type things, not that they're opposed to it. For this particular assignment, I will give you credit, whether you type up your notes or, and now, if you type though, you do have to adhere to the Cornell style. You have to demonstrate you understand what Cornell style is. So I need to see that T, upside down T, I need to see the right things in the right spots. Okay? So you can't just randomly type up a bunch of information on a page and call it notes. That's not, you won't make it. I'm literally going to use that. This is the grading rubric, and they're worth X amount of points for each one. I look at those. And I look at every single one, I'm looking, okay, have you got the appropriate pages, have you got the right information for this, have you got the right, you know, that kind of thing. Good, bad, ugly. We have a solid understanding. My next question to you is, how many of you take notes in your classes? Anybody? Couple? What class do you take notes in? I'm just curious, I'm being nosy. Okay, good, good, good. Do you take notes, Chick?
Yeah, principles and management.
Oh, okay, yeah. My guess is that one is a heavy content course. Is there a lot of information in a small? Yeah, okay, yep. So that's a really good example where you may have 2 or 3 pages per section, because there's so much information. Oh, that wasn't interesting to me. So is it speech 102 or 104? Do you know? Do you have, okay, do you have to give a speech or do you just have to learn about like communication stuff? Okay, so yeah, all right. Yeah, that one kind of, I guess it makes sense. You gotta take notes though, so if you understand the different techniques, all that kind of stuff, right? Of what are the areas of, if you're communicating effectively, right? Helen, do you take notes on anything or no?
No,
Not yet.
I only have 2 classes, this one and you.
Okay, so I'll give you a heads up, one of the things I would strongly recommend. If you're like Kevin, you're only just taking a couple classes, take notes out of ours, take a note out of our class, and I would say. Take it out of chapter 1. The reason I'm saying do your notes out of chapter one, sorry, the computer is like kind of acting on its own, it's like ghost in the machine, sorry about that. So if you don't know what to take notes on. Now, Chick, yours is the natural, you're gonna, I'm assuming, work on principles of management, you pick whatever chapter you're on, whatever your next quiz is. That's what you gotta read, that's where you'll take your notes. That's what I would like you to do, in the fact of, I don't want you to go through busy work just for me to demonstrate that you know how to take notes, I would like you to apply it on something you really need to. So if you have a quiz or something, or you have to read a chapter in speech, yeah, absolutely, take notes on that. Because it's a 2-for-1 special, right? That being said, if you're like Kevin, you're like, no, I only have this in one other class, and nope, I don't have. Then take notes on chapter 1 in our textbook. I think the chapter is called Making Brain Connections. Okay? Why? Because you will have a quiz or a test on that chapter at some point. Probably pretty quick, coming up. So again, it's a 2-for-1. I don't want you to just go through the motions to demonstrate to me. I would like you to make it useful to you and apply it to something for real for you. That being said, I need something from you. I need to grade it. I need to be able to judge if you have a good understanding of note taking, Cornell style or not, and that you're demonstrating all the elements. So if you have nothing, then yeah, you are going through the motions. But I did design this assignment deliberately to allow you to do it for other classes as applicable. Now, that being said, I pretty much know the textbooks for everything or whatever content is for most courses on this campus. I've been around a long time. I'm very familiar with almost all, I've seen them all at one point or another. Every now and then someone will say, hey, I don't have a textbook to do it. Can I just do it on a PowerPoint or whatever? No, I really want you to do it on text. And like I said, if you don't have something, then I want you to do it on chapter 1 in our book, okay? I'm curious, Chick, do they do a regular textbook for that course, or is it electronic textbook?
Electronic.
Okay, so either way, electronic textbook or hard copy, it'll all work, so. All right. Seems like there's one more thing I was gonna talk about with Cornell Notes, but I can't remember. Oh, yeah. So, how many do you have to do? What do you have to have? If you want full credit on this, I need to see a minimum of 5 pages of these. 5 pages of this, not 5 pages of content. Does that make sense? So what does that mean? It means if you have a heavy, I'm gonna pick on Chick just because he shared. Principles of management, heavy content, there may be a lot of information in one section. He may need 2 or 3 of these just for that one section. Totally fine, that will count as 2 or 3 pages, right? Just make sure you're summarizing at the bottom of each one of whatever you wrote on this page. But I need 5 of these. Now, every now and then, I will get, oh my God, I can't believe she's African for 5 pages, that's crazy. That's nothing in the college world. If you are prepping for a test for any kind of a chapter, that is, I mean, that's, you're getting off life. I used to, if it'll make you feel better. This assignment used to be 15 to 20 pages. Yeah. And so I've kind of reevaluated and looked at things, and one of the things I'm really looking for this is, are you demonstrating you have an understanding of it? I don't need to see 15, 20 pages to know if you have an understanding of how to do Cornell style notes or how to do note taking in general, right? 5 is sufficient. So, I mean, it could be worse. You could have been with me 5 years ago. And this assignment is now 15 to 20 pages, right? And I also never used to let you type them. It was always, you had to do everything by hand. So, you know, the world changes. Hopefully I am changing for the better with it. So it is your option. You can write, old school, print. Okay, so if there are no other questions on this, I want to stop my recording for content, and then I'll just talk about some miscellaneous things with you before the end of our time. Questions that you think I need to answer for the camera? Okay, so let me stop share, let me stop record.